Hello everybody, today we're going to discuss about the dark matter. We have to understand what is this force which somehow spreads across the universe in order to understand the world we live in better. Now, we are all looking for this particle which makes it, and we have to think that probably it's somehow a sphere like this one. We think that is a tiny little sphere which has a very small diameter and is very difficult to detect. Now, this tiny little sphere is somehow everywhere. Right now in this room, there are millions of this kind of tiny little sphere. But these kind of things do not interact with all the other spheres, which is somehow strange, because all the mass interacts with all the other mass. So if I have mass traveling across the universe, it interacts with other mass and there is an accumulatory effect. Because of this surface and the reverse sphere pressing on it, if there is another sphere here coming like this one, there is an entangled effect. And with time, we have large mass accumulated, like asteroids and then planets. But we don't see this effect. What is very strange is this kind of mass doesn't interact with all the other mass. I find this very, very strange because this kind of force, like I said, is constant and there is an accumulated effect in case many particles like this one encounter each other. I think we are looking in the wrong place, so at least we are looking for the wrong element. We have to see things differently. And I think we should look better to the situation with radiation. Somehow concentrated mass appear with concentrated gravity and they are present only in those kind of situations. Like now in this room we have the planet which has a gravity. Why would this planet do not interact with those tiny little spheres? I think those tiny little spheres do not exist. And what we have here is distributed gravity. Dark matter is not dark, it's invisible, it's not matter, it's gravity. Now, there are two kinds of things from radiation point of view. It's radiation which has a mass in the middle, which is concentrated gravity, and radiation has nothing in the middle, these reverse spheres, and they have the tendency to behave in a distributed manner. This force, like in the previous case, it's also constant, but it doesn't press on a sphere in the middle because there is no sphere of mass in the middle. We know that radiation has no mass, the photon has no mass. So in this force, instead of standing still here, it passes and moves here. So this kind of element, this particle, if you want, at subatomic level, particle, when you say particle, think about mass, but I think we are having here a reverse sphere. At the subatomic level, all the particles are in fact reverse spheres made of radiation. These particles have a tendency to expand and they do not interact with each other. This kind of particles, this radiation, carry distributed gravity with them. But this distributed gravity, as said the name distributed, when two particles at this one encounter, there is not an accumulatory effect like in the case of mass. So if I have another reverse sphere here coming this way, it will not interact with this one. It will just pass. So there will not be an accumulated effect. Think about it. If I have two flashlights and I turn them on, shooting light in this direction, there is an interaction here, but nothing special happens. Radiation continues to go farther away because radiation overlaps with other radiation. So in this case, when I have two beams of lights encountering each other and then moving away, there is no accumulated effect here. In case of mass, if I would shoot mass, when they would encounter, let's say the speed is not that high, they would entangle here and they would have eventually a planet. Situation here is different. What we are looking for is a distributed gravity which is somehow, let's say, carried by radiation. But because radiation has a tendency to distribute itself, there is no accumulated effect. So what do we see here in case of a galaxy? We have a galaxy, and we know it spins in this direction. Now the question is, how come it spins in this ordinary manner for millions of years? What spins it? What is the trigger? If I have said that I have distributed gravity all across the universe, in the absence of this ordinary movement, what we should have in the universe is chaotic stars moving randomly. We should see this star moving like that, this star moving like that, this stars moving like that, with various speeds. So we have eventually a universe, which I have said it is a sphere, with billions of stars in one giant galaxy moving in all directions. This is what we should have, but we don't have that. Something makes the universe having this movement with clusters and filaments, which is a very stable, from a dynamic point of view, very stable state. And these elements have galaxy inside, but let's talk about just the galaxy itself. There is a force which spins a galaxy, and we call it dark matter. But the question is, if I have this force here, what can you say about this space around it? If there is a space movement, we can also have it here. I have to question, do I have dark matter here also? I know I have it here, but if there are no stars here, the dark matter doesn't move, or is not present there. If I said dark matter is related with radiation, and radiation is everywhere in this universe, I have to see dark matter here. But I don't see it. I don't see any kind of movement because there is no mass and there are no stars. So I cannot measure. But for sure, this effect of distributed gravity is also here. The question is, why here nothing moves in any kind of direction, but here moves? We have to explain this. Now, I have said this before. There are three things in this universe: mass, radiation, and the soul of God. Only these three things are the element inside the universe, the Trinity, if you want. If you want to do something in the universe, you have to use one of these three elements. There is not a fourth element. There are just only these three. Mass is rare. It's very rare in this universe. Radiation is more or less everywhere. But the soul of God is everywhere. So, if you are everywhere, you cannot move. You cannot go somewhere. You have to be smaller than the entire space to move somewhere. But if you are everywhere, the only thing that you can do is spin portions from yourself within yourself. By a sphere or a particular situation from a sphere, it's a disk. This is what happens. The ancient people knew that God moves the universe with his mind. And we think it is a metaphor. But it's not a metaphor. It is exactly like that. If you have a capacity to be everywhere and you spin part of yourself in this direction in a constant manner, you drag with it everything that is here, which are the stars. And they have this dynamic equilibrium. Think about it. If that will not be the case, the stars will move randomly in an absolutely chaotic manner. There will be no stable element in this universe. How can we have a stable element if there is nothing stable and everything is left to chance? This universe is not left to chance, and there are not only just chaotic random events in this universe. It looks like this for us, but it is not. We don't have distributed gravity everywhere in the universe, but having it is not exactly the same thing with moving it in a certain manner, in this circular manner. So the question is, a fundamental question, what is first? Stars move in this manner, so space moves with it, or space moves and stars moves with it. Since we are in an environment of quantum mechanics, in the absence of time, we cannot say which one is first. For sure one is first, but there is no time. The second one appears in 0 seconds, so we cannot measure. So we have to do, let's say, a mental approach in this case. If I have the stars moving randomly, it will be a mess. The universe will be a mess. So we cannot say the stars move by chance in this manner, so they drag the space with them. That is just impossible. The other solution is the right one. The space moves itself. So when we say space, space cannot actually move. You cannot move space somewhere because it will leave a gap here. When we say space moves, when we say it's something like the soul of God moves, space remains still. But the soul of God spins pretty much like you see in a storm. There is an eye here in the middle, and there is a storm. Something like that, it happens with the galaxy. The soul of God moves and drags with it everything which is inside, which are the stars. The stars drag the planets, so on and so forward. And we have this very stable element inside the universe, which is the galaxy. This is what I wanted to say, and I think that we looking for a tiny interparticle made of mass, it's a wrong approach. We will never find it because there is no such an element. If we are looking for radiation, we may find something, but it will be impossible to explain if all the photons move randomly into the universe, absolutely chaotic. How can we explain such an orderly movement? A third element is needed beyond mass and radiation. And that third element, it's the soul of God itself. This is how I think a galaxy moves, and I think this is according with reality. How can you get in contact with such an element? It's somehow difficult. How can you prove mechanically this element? It's very difficult because mechanical elements only enter in contact with mechanical elements. Radiation enters in contact with radiation, but the soul of God only enters in contact with the other souls of God. This is how it works. I will let you decide what you do from now on. My opinion is this is how it works, and you should stop looking for a tiny little sphere of mass because you will never find it. This is how the universe works, and this presence of the soul of God moving the galaxy, it's an element which is needed in order to make it work. Just by using dark matter, it will never work. The model will never work. I think it's according to reality, and I hope I made this very, very simple. Thank you for watching.